Hello, and welcome to another Freudian episode of We Only Look Thin. I am your super ego host, Katherine Weigel, and with me today is my egotistical husband.
No, I'm all id. I am all id, 100%. This is, and I'm all in as well.
Who are you?
This is Donald Weigel.
Hi.
I am your husband. I am your weight loss and fitness partner, I am 50% of We Only Look Thin, and I've lost about 100 pounds.
Congratulations.
Thank you, and I've kept it off for pretty close to 2.5 years now.
That's amazing. I'm actually almost on 3 years. I think we're going to do a maintenance episode soon, but 3 years. I kind of lose track of time. It all happened so fast and so slow. It only took 45 years. It goes so quickly.
It's so quickly.
Oh, fun times. No, but I always get dates wrong. I'm like, how long have you been maintaining? A day. I don't know. Like, What is maintenance? Nobody knows.
Yeah, no one has heard of that.
But I'm very bad at details in terms of when things happened. Like, I would hate to be someone who was interviewed like for an autobiography because they're like, did you even live your own life? Because nothing that you're saying actually makes sense. There's no timeline. We have a Google photo frame thing that shows pictures, and I have all of these ideas in my head about times that I lost a lot of weight, and then I see pictures and I'm like,
goodness.
Did I ever lose weight? Because it seems like I did, but like, I'm like, I lost 100 pounds. Did you? Because the pictures really don't look like it. So pictures don't say all the things. Words say the things, and writing down things says the things.
Yeah, I know we're not actually doing a tip of the week, but maybe a tip of the week is like if you do when you get to your goal weight, look at pictures of yourself on a regular basis from beforehand. It's a nice deterrent. We have photos of ourselves 100 pounds, 150 pounds heavier scrolling through our living room. And
it's a whirlwind of...
It is a harsh reminder of how things used to be.
Yeah. You know what? And I know this isn't a tip of the week. It's not. I'm not going to say a tip of the week. Ciao, everybody. Surprise. But I was so terrible about actually tracking my weight and my measurements that every once in a while I'll find a shriveled Post-it note at the bottom of the closet with some measurements on it. It has a date, but not a year. And then I've got to like carbon date it to figure out what year I was that weight.
Yeah, I have 2 Post-it notes that have my measurements on them, but I have no idea what year they're from.
But it's like
so not helpful
It is
at all.
a treasure to go back and actually be like, oh my gosh, I know what my weight was this year. It's amazing. Because I kept throwing things away for shame. And I wish I had just been consistent. I know apps didn't, the only thing that an app was in 1998 was an appetizer, not an actual app to track.
Man, I was good at apps back then.
Oh boy, my favorite apps. Awesome Blossoms.
Yeah, holy
it sounds
cow.
so healthy.
Let's not just name appetizers now.
No, it sounded healthy though because it said blossom.
Oh yeah, it was a blossom.
It's a flower, basically, a deep fried
basically
flower.
Calorie free.
It's onions.
I think those things have literally like 2,000 calories in them or something.
They do.
It's insane.
It's delicious. They work magic. But please track your weight in a place other than on a Post-it note at the bottom of your closet. And that's our random tip of the week.
Random not tip of the week.
Don't do it.
But we're not here for all of that. This has been all preamble so far. Now we're going to amble.
We're going to amble.
Post-amble. Post-amble. There's going to be an amble and a post-amble.
There's actually going to be lots of categories of things.
Yeah.
There's going to be phases. There's going to be levels of things. So we preambled, we're going to amble, and then we're going to post-amble.
I forget exactly where it came up, but one or both of us were recently reminded of the classic children's story from the 1960s by Shel Silverstein, The Giving Tree.
The Giving Tree. I know we do a lot of harvesting of old memories to come back and assault you as a grown-up, and this episode is like
it's
that.
More
That's
of
what
the
it
same.
What other part of my childhood are they going to ruin with a...
Don't know where you were going with that, but it's more of the same. If you've liked our other episodes, this is pretty much similar to those.
Let's see. How can I make Deputy Dog about weight loss?
Do not mess with Deputy Dog. I love that guy.
Droopy Dog, Deputy Dog, so many kinds of dogs.
All of the dog names that started with D. So the story, you can literally read the entire children's book in literally 4 minutes. I don't know why I just said literally and literally, but you can read it in about 4 minutes, and I will link in the show notes. I found a YouTube video, a couple of them, of somebody reading them to pictures and animation, so you can, if you're interested in the whole thing.
Do you know that I spent most of elementary school trying to weasel my way into doing book reports on Shel Silverstein books? Like, in like 6th grade or 5th grade, I'd be like, well, can't I just do it on the Giving Tree? Like, okay, the book is like 4 words and you're going to do a book report on it. Like, could you just read something at your age level? Like, go for Beverly Cleary, like something.
Okay, I know this is a tangent, but I wonder if that was an indicator of the like food laziness that was going to come.
There was very many
if there's
indicators
like a
of the
laziness
lack of ambition.
factor, lack of ambition equals also a lack of keeping your food stuff together.
I don't even want to talk about anyway. Yeah.
Anyway, all right. So
I was very lazy, and it showed in my calories.
We're not researchers into the psyches of 6th graders, but
we're going to talk about Freud later. But first, we're talking about Shel Silverstein.
In the Giving Tree, I assume most people listening to this have read it or at some point in their lives. But essentially, to sum it up, there's a boy and
a tree
and this little boy hangs around the tree when he's a boy, and he climbs the branches and hangs out.
The tree is so happy.
The tree is super happy to have this boy around. And then the boy gets a little older, and he doesn't come by the tree very often.
And she's like, hey, what's up? You want to hang out? And the kid's like, hey, I just want money.
I just need money. Can you give me some money, tree? And the tree's like, well, I can't give you money, but here, take my apples. Climb up, take my apples.
I like them apples.
You can go sell them in the city. And so the boy takes the tree's apples and then bails. Like
totally bails.
Does it
later days, tree.
Ghosts on this tree after taking the apples.
We're paraphrasing.
The tree goes to the city, and Shel Silverstein said ghosted and bails.
Later days.
And goes to the city, sells the apples, we presume. The story doesn't give us the details on that. And then disappears for a long time. And then he comes back, and the tree's like, oh my goodness, I'm so happy that you're around. And the boy's like, I want a house. Can you give me a house? And the tree's like, well, I can't give you a house, but you could cut off my branches.
Which would be super chill.
That'd
and
be totally fine to cut off all my branches. I'll be a branchless tree by myself with no apples.
But that's chill.
But that's totally chill and cool.
No.
And so the boy takes the branches and we presume builds a house with them, or probably in the case of this boy, hires somebody else to do it with money from apple sales. And then he disappears for a long time. And then he comes back, and the trees, and the boy is like, I don't know, we presume he's like middle-aged at this point.
Yeah, he's having a midlife
crisis. And he's like, I'm so sad, the boy says. I just want to build a boat and sail away. Can you give me a boat? And the tree, like, begrudgingly is like, well, Is it going to make you happy? Because your happiness is my happiness. Right. Yeah,
which is super chill.
The tree's happiness is completely wrapped up in the boy's happiness. And he's like, I'm actually probably taking longer to recap
this. Is longer than the story.
Than the actual story. So he tells the boy, chop down my trunk. You can have my trunk. You can build your boat and you can sail away. And now the tree is just a stump in the ground.
Super chill.
And the boy comes back when he's super old, and the tree's like, I have nothing left to give you. And the boy's like, well, I don't need any of those things anyway. I just want a place to sit down. And the tree's like, hey, I'm a stump. You can sit on me and we'll be happy together.
And they die.
Yeah. And so when I was a kid...
That super chill story.
Yeah. It's super chill, super uplifting, super happy. When I was a kid, I think I thought about, that stupid tree. Why would it give that boy? That boy took advantage of that tree, and he should have.
Well, but I think like phase 1 is like you're a kid and you're like, sweet, there's a never-ending resource that will just give me everything I want.
Yeah.
What could that represent? Phase 2 is you grow up and you read it and you're like, wow, that kid just takes without regard. And the tree is a parent, everyone.
Yeah, the
Dun,
tree
dun,
is
dun.
a parent. Shocking surprise
Veruca
twist.
Salt.
Yeah.
The tree just gives and gives and gives. That kid kind of sucked.
Yeah.
But then phase three.
Yeah.
You realize the parent needs to set some boundaries because the kid was just a product of its environment and the tree never set any boundaries. And I've been at that phase for many, many years. Like I read that book and was like, wow, boundaries would be nice.
Yeah, before you get to phase 4, I think that there's a certain point in my life where I would read that story, not that I read it over and over again, but where I would read that story and like I think that we would ask ourselves the question, why would if you're the boy, if you're looking at it from the boy's point of view, the boy who becomes a man, why would he just take and take and take from that tree and not give back? And you ask that question, like, and you think to yourself, that is a terrible person, just taking and taking and not giving back. And then you think to yourself, the flip side of that is from the tree's point of view, why would the tree just give and give and give and leave itself with nothing? Why wouldn't the tree set some boundaries? And, we say that's just terrible. They're both terrible people.
They have no coping skills.
Yeah.
But there was a meme recently that was a play on the giving tree, and it said something like, the kid wanted branches and the tree set boundaries and was like, no, thank you. I will not give you all my branches. And the tree had boundaries and the tree was happy.
Yeah.
And as a grown up, I'm like, oh my gosh, boundaries. That's something I've learned in this whole weight loss journey. And I have to have boundaries with people and with my boss and with everything. And wow, that is a good thing. And this is the new meme that I love. But then recently, I don't know what I was doing, probably sitting under a tree somewhere as a do.
And then an apple fell in your head and you invented gravity
and
like
I
Sir
invented
Isaac Newton.
gravity.
No, that's a totally different story.
But it occurred to me, it's like we're always looking for ways to tie in our childhood into weight loss. And it only recently occurred to me that there was actually a fourth phase of the giving tree. And I dropped this truth bomb on my husband like an apple.
Yeah, and I think we've all seen that gif of the guy whose like mind explodes. And that was me.
That was him. So phase 4... this is the surprise phase. And I bet you're all like, what is she going to say? And I'm going to say it now. You realize that you are the child and the tree is your body.
Yeah.
Bum, bum, bum.
You are both child and boy and man and tree.
And tree. You are all of it.
And you have your whole life been taking from yourself.
Bum, bum, bum. Oh my god.
The real monsters are people.
But we take from our bodies and we forget to give back. Like it is a resource that never ends. And then you end up with stumps and sunsets in the end.
Yeah.
And it occurred to me that in this whole process, and we're going to get into this, is that we deplete.
Oh, we're into it already.
Oh, we're into it.
We're not going to get into it. We're into it.
We vandalize, neglect, naysay, deplete, antagonize, and bully our bodies all the time.
Yeah.
Yet we expect it to be a resource that never gives up on us. And when it does, we get mad at it and forget that it was our responsibility to nurture and care for our bodies the whole time.
Yeah, and I think that I get upset actually. It for a long time it's really bothered me when people say things like my body is trying to tell me something or I need to listen to my body. My body is just really craving chocolate chip cookies right now or my body just really needs like a treat right now. And I feel like it's this thing that we do to abdicate our responsibility for our own actions. We set it up in our minds so that our bodies are some kind of separate entity from us, and it's all just us.
Yeah. Well, and I know there are, and we literally just talked about it before we started this podcast, so I'm going to say this, but we give like our inner mean girl or our inner mean guy another name. Like it's some like like, oh, my inner Morticia is being a jerk to me, or my inner mean girl is, saying negative things. And we disconnect ourselves. And I've seen this actually in the weight loss process in the last 4 years, is people saying like, oh, my inner Morticia is being mean to me or saying negative things, or my inner Morticia is the one that was, and I'm using a name that's like so neutral that nobody has actually named that because I don't want to offend anyone in our studio audience by being like, she used my name. That's not the inner mean girl. So Morticia, who is the one who's binging, or who is the one who is responsible for the negative thoughts.
Yeah, it's like you're carrying around, like there was a TV show and books, Dexter, where he had this like dark passenger who would make him do terrible things, and it's sort of this idea that you set up that you're not responsible for your own actions, and it's all just you. You are your body. Your body is you. There's no separate, it's not two separate entities walking around. It's not a tree and a boy. It's one thing, and you're taking from yourself. Yeah.
Well, and I think that there are, like people say things like negative Nancy or lazy Susan or whatever like that.
Sure.
You come up with these. No, you have a friend named Susan who's like, I hate
lazy Susan. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, but like, it's not negative.
Your name's Susan. Let us know about it.
I'm sorry, my friend Susan. We love you. But that negative Nancy, or the inner mean girl, we blame that person for our actions, and that dark passenger. And by separating ourselves from it, we're not taking responsibility for it. And just like, we've talked about managing your canaries in the past, or the canaries in a coal mine, we separate the giving tree into the body, which is the tree, and the habits, which is the kid.
Yeah.
And our bodies, and I think my body's telling me whatever, but like we physically need oxygen, fiber. We need to stretch and move our muscles. We need vegetables. We need water, sleep, sunscreen, protein, moderation, positive thoughts, checkups, flossing, mammograms. Like we need all of these different things to keep our bodies running. And when our check engine lights go on, the aches and the pains and the exhaustion, we just think that it's like we got a lemon. Like we want, like, where's the return policy? Like, when is the expiration date? Because our bodies are betraying us.
So wait, it was a lemon tree with a check engine light in it? I'm a little bit.
You know, like the lemon law in cars.
I'm just kidding.
I mix metaphors, like I mix trail mix. It's all just in there into one goopy mess.
You're a mixologist, basically.
But our habits are the kid.
Yeah.
We smoke, we drink, we eat fast food, fried foods, we sit, we give negative thoughts to ourselves all the time. We neglect, we eat too much sugar, we're gluttons, we drive everywhere instead of walk, we stay up late, we eat Pop-Tarts and tell ourselves it's breakfast food because there's strawberry jam in the middle, so that's basically like eating a fruit salad.
Yeah.
We go to all you can eat. We get Postmates. We eat trays of brownies, and we say that they're for the neighbors, and we eat them all because it's not good enough.
And we tell ourselves we deserve treats, we deserve this, that I've earned it, And then, all these lies we tell ourselves.
Right. And then we see our number on the scale, and we say we eat like everybody else, and it's not fair. We can't get out of bed because our feet hurt. And when I see, I'm just going to say me instead of us, because it's all me. It took me 5 minutes to get out of bed 10 years ago because my feet hurt so badly because I had a bone spur and because my circulation was so bad, and I would get Charlie horses at night. Sorry, if your name is Charlie, let us know.
I would have to take 2-hour naps in the afternoon, almost as often as I possibly could get away with it, every day, and would dread having to walk up the stairs in our own building, the one flight of stairs, or, just spend parts of vacation sleeping in hotel rooms because I had no energy to actually do anything fun.
Right. And we would, going back to the giving tree, were the kids showing up with, the tray of fried Oreos and funnel cake also because you want to get your money's worth at the fair. And we would end up with indigestion and acid reflux, and we would feel sick the next day and hung over from our food choices. And we would be up on the scale and our pants wouldn't fit. And we would wonder why it was happening to us. It's a mystery. Like, why is life so unfair?
And I'll tell you, I spent 45 plus years just taking and taking and taking from myself, taking my apples, taking my limbs, taking my trunk, and then one day
he went to the arborist.
I went to the arborist. I went to my doctor, and my doctor was like, looked at my blood work and said, you have like bad type 2 diabetes. Your A1C is, look, I have a chart here and the number is on the chart, but it is off the charts.
And your BMI is like double what a human's BMI should be.
Exactly. And you will lose one of your actual limbs, not a tree limb, but an actual
figurative limb,
arm or a leg. It is a complication from diabetes that happens to people all the time. If you don't do something, you could lose your sight. And I finally said, whoa, that is enough.
Could you be more specific? Because it's all a mystery still.
I didn't know how I was going to give back to my body. I thought all fun and joy were over.
You were basically like flat earthing yourself. Like, why is this happening to me? It's a mystery.
It's a mystery. Exactly. I had no idea. And I knew I had to give back. I had to start, I had to stop, basically strip mining my body. I had to stop cutting down the forest that was me, and just burning the wood.
Strip mining. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, exactly.
Or fracking.
Fracking, exactly. And I needed to start giving back, and I started doing that in the form of reducing my calories, watching my healthy food, adding more of it to my life, adding more exercise to my life. And I know that sounds painful to a lot of people out there.
Can't I just do nothing?
Exactly. Can I just eat what I want? And that's what I was before the type 2 diabetes diagnosis. And now I have slowly over time given back and given back and given back. And now, not to do that thing I said don't do, but my body gives back to me. I have a sense of, and I know this is going to sound corny as heck, but I actually have a sense of power in my movement. I feel really good. It feels great to walk up a flight of stairs and for it to just mean nothing to me anymore. And it feels great to be able to grab multiple bags of groceries at a time. And it feels great not to have to nap all the time. And I get so much more done. And I just have such a more zest for life in general after doing this. It feels like I am a whole tree again with my apples intact.
And lemons for some reason also.
Also, and a check engine light.
Yeah, and you have this like magical part of your thing. You can kick the kid away. Somehow. There's like a kicking part of the tree. But right now, we have spent the last 4 years managing and giving back to our tree and creating a balance. But we have said it before. Donald and I have gone on many diets before. I went on my first diet when I was 12.
Oh my goodness.
Like I actually don't remember the first time you went on a diet.
It was
high school.
It was in my teens for sure, yeah.
So we went on many diets before, but we didn't make the connection between the tree and the kid. And kid rhymes with id.
Yeah.
It's actually part of it. Special K added to id equals kid.
Yeah, well, and at that time, it was all about just getting down to a certain weight or having kids stop teasing me for being heavy or whatever it was. It was all about the immediate gratification of it. Even trying to be healthier at that point was about immediate gratification. And I never thought about long term. I never thought about what I was going to be like when I was older. I never thought about how I was damaging myself for the future. I just wanted to be a number for vanity. So girls would like me and people would stop teasing me, and it was more about that instant gratification, and I thought of it as temporary. It was just this thing I was going to have to do for a little while till I was fixed, and then I could be like everybody else and not worry about it anymore.
Right. It's like, Earth Day, suddenly like planting, vegetables and trees and be like, I love Mother Earth. And then like the next day, you're setting rubber cement on fire in the quad at your school. Like,
Yeah.
like you can't just have Earth Day one day a year. You've got to, tend to the tree and the plants and whatever. But
Yeah.
so
We're not arborists.
we're not arborists, but I took as many as 1 psychology classes
Whoa.
at Mercer County Community
Whoa.
College in
You're
the
basically an
fine
expert.
state of New Jersey, the Garden State of New Jersey.
Yeah. And in gardens, they sometimes have trees.
They do.
And if you're in Britain, garden is a yard, and you usually have a tree in your yard.
Whoa,
I don't know where I'm going
many
with all this.
levels.
Yeah.
So you might have heard of Freud. You might have heard of him in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Oh, this is the Freudian part of the episode
Yes.
we mentioned like an hour ago.
Exactly. So Freud came up with the idea of the id, ego, and superego. He was not problematic in any way, so
No.
we're not going to talk about all the
and,
ways.
and nobody questions what he said
No.
back then.
Never.
Now.
No, but he had, and this ties into weight loss because everything ties into weight loss.
It's all about weight loss if you haven't figured that out yet.
But talking about our weight loss in the past, where it was just sort of this end point, this, going from all indulgence to no indulgence, this ties into the id, ego, and superego.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start with id because it rhymes with kid.
And when you were a kid, you were all id.
I was all id.
And some people still are.
Yeah. So Webster's dictionary defines id as the pleasure principle. The id is disorganized. There is no collective will. It just focuses on the satisfaction of instinctual needs, which is basically my whole life from age 4 until 41.
Yeah.
I was led by what my body told me, which was many Pop-Tarts and sodas, what my body needed.
Yeah, my body said it wanted that all the time.
And we focus on that when we're not in the, weight loss zone. It's all about how much we can get, how much value we can get, all you can eat, fried, fast, easy, and that's the way I lived, and that's the way we lived. We have talked about it many times of multiple takeout meals and wine and appetizers and
then just being shocked that we couldn't, maintain a weight or get to a weight, like we were victims of some outside force when it was really just us doing it to ourselves all the time.
Right. So the way our pattern would go in the past with weight loss is that we would be 100% id, just eating and drinking and, doing everything we wanted until we got to a point where we couldn't fit into our pants or we decided that we were going to get Eye of the Tiger and suddenly be new people.
Yeah.
And I'm going to skip over the ego.
Oh.
And go right over to the superego, which was the diet plan that I did for the 40 years before this time.
Yeah.
The superego aims for perfection and the ideal outcome. I'm going to say that again because I am adding you, dear listener.
Yeah.
It aims for perfection and the ideal outcome. The superego can be thought of as the type of conscience that punishes misbehavior with feelings of guilt. Example, why did I binge? You're blaming the id. You're going back to why can't I just be perfect? Why can't I get this right?
Yeah.
You see that sort of angel and devil on your shoulder, and it's this absolute perfection or absolute failure.
Yeah. And if you can't maintain your diet and exercise plan in a 100% perfect way, then why bother? Why do it at all?
Right. So it's that 100%, all the way to the finish line and then back to the id. You decide your course based on the ideal version of weight loss. Okay, well, I'm going to have shake, meal, shake. I'm never going to go out with my friends. I'm never going to go on vacation. This is going to be my life.
And shake is not milkshake. It's protein shake, which is an actual diet that I went on for a while and was miserable the whole time.
But I did that thing of the master cleanse, drinking lemon cayenne water and then barfing up salt water, which literally happened because that was part of the plan.
Ugh.
I did the cabbage soup diet and didn't want to go visit friends in college because I had to stick to the plan 100% and couldn't do that in a public setting. So it was that angel devil, that 100% superego. And if I can't have perfect weight loss, I'm not going to do it at all. And those were the two lives that I lived.
Yeah,
I didn't even realize
id or
it.
super ego. There was no in between.
Right. It was either 100% take or 100% give. And then I found out that there is the ego in the middle.
Oh. So it's not like Clark Kent and Superman. It's not like the ego is the mild-mannered, like wearing glasses, and then, you take the glasses off and suddenly you've got a cape and a cool outfit on. Yeah, it's not like that.
Okay. So the ego, this is where my guy Freud knew what was up.
Yeah.
Ego is the sense of self. It's what you show the world. It's the reality principle. It focuses on harmony, the practical, long-term benefits, organization, and balance between the primitive drive and the superego. That is where Donald and I have been for the last 4 years.
That's where we live now, is in that ego town. Because we have huge egos.
But people say like you're egotistical. And that sounds like a bad thing. But it's super awesome to be egotistical. but that like all or nothing is essentially id or superego.
Yeah.
It's either you're on or you're off. It's you're 100% working out or you're not working out. You're 100% on plan or you're 100% off. And that perfection never works. I don't know any book, any podcast, any success story that was like, I don't know, everything just went perfectly. The story of Albert Einstein, everything went perfectly. Rosa Parks, like, there is a process. There is there is suffering that comes along with the success. And being at a point where, and it takes practice. It's not like it just suddenly comes to us. I didn't know I was working in the ego the last 4 years.
Well, and for the first year, I tried for perfection most of the time. And it was this real balancing act to learn how to plan indulgences. I went from being all over the place, no planning whatsoever, just eating what felt good, doing what felt good, to trying to stay on this plan, to then realizing that I had to consciously work these indulgences into my life, or I was just going to snap at some point. And so it's the conscious planning of your indulgences. At least for me, that was a giant key to being able to make this work. It was living in that middle ground between complete abstaining everything and moderating things and doing it in a very mindful, planned way that really worked for me.
Well, and to go back to the apple tree, which I suppose is what the giving tree was.
Yeah.
Lemon tree, apple tree, so many different kinds. I prefer it to be a juicy fruit tree because...
Juicy
fruit
my goodness.
Definitely grows
juicy
on
fruit
trees.
Tree was like, I want that still.
I still do. I still look to see if there's one available. But, and I know it's just like a book that's like 3 pages long. But the apple tree could be harvested in a mindful way that is sustainable to yield more apples in the future.
Yeah.
Trees can be pruned by a professional arborist to promote growth in a sustainable way. Like, you don't have to chop down limbs. You don't have to go 100% and end up with a stump and figure out what to use with it. Like, we keep that check engine light keeps coming on, and we keep getting results like fatty liver disease. Our A1C is high. Our BMI is high. All of these different numbers keep popping up, and we can't figure out why life isn't fair. And it's the figuring out the moderation of the giving in to those impulses and the id, but also being mindful in a way that can sustain the life of the tree, and to say no to that frigging inner toddler that just wants everything now and is like Veruca Salt and is going to pout about everything because you're not getting that immediate fix and that immediate high. Like, we are grown-ups who are responsible for sustaining our bodies. It's not about, and this is where, and I didn't even tell you I was going to go into this.
Whoa.
This is where the like body positive movement is so hard for me.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have kneecaps and legs and vision and you're, a healthy heart and healthy lungs, you're not going very far.
Yeah.
Like, it is all well and good to love your body. And I think that is part of the giving tree is like, we look in the mirror and we hate our wiggly bits. We hate our flab. We hate our arms. We hate. And putting in all of those negative thoughts is not a growth mindset. That is not a sustainable vision. The bodies that we have today are going to get us to our future. And if we're in a position where we have neglected ourselves, this is the part where the extra love and care needs to come in to help sustain that weight loss. Because hating yourself then, saying, I hate myself unless I'm this number, I hate myself unless I'm this BMI, that is not a way to grow like a beautiful forest of people. Like
No,
that
for sure.
is growing from hate is not sustainable. And we did that for so long. And finding a way to find that harmony. And it takes practice. This isn't suddenly like, oh, I heard this one podcast and now I'm going to sustainably manage my weight. All of this is practice. All of this takes practice to let go of those negative thoughts. It takes practice to manage your inner toddler who is just kicking and screaming and saying, why can't I have a tray of brownies? Why can't I get every single snack at the amusement park? Why can't I just sit all day? Like, it's not fair. It's not fair. Seeing our future, seeing this book play out and be like, oh, there's a stump at the end, everybody. Like, spoiler alert. What kind of stump do you want to be?
Exactly.
But like there are, it is very hard to see our future selves and to really recognize that it's a symbiotic relationship, that there is give and take. But I have, and I know I've said this before, I had one grandmother who wasn't physically active, who wouldn't follow up on her physical therapy, who didn't really care what she ate. And she was bedridden for the last few years of her life.
Yeah.
And her mental clarity went down. Her physical ability to even manage going to the restroom by herself was taken away because of her inactivity. And she had the ability to do it. She had nurses, but she just wouldn't do the physical therapy. I have another grandmother who's 95 years old, did physical therapy, kept mentally active, kept going, and she's 95, 96 years old right now, and she's still moving around. And we forget that we're doing this for our future selves. It seems like a different person. It doesn't seem like, 30 years, 40 years down the line, who cares?
Yeah.
But like, we have to start planting these seeds right now. We have to start taking care of ourselves, whatever phase you're in.
There are medical issues that we cannot control, and there's nothing we can do about those. Those are gravity issues that are beyond our control, but there are many issues. I mean, seriously, I know this isn't true for everyone, but every medical issue I had ended up being tied to my weight. And once I got that under control, all of those issues went away, and I became a healthy person for possibly the first time in my adult life. And I may have medical issues in the future that I cannot control, but I am going to fight and fight and fight not to turn into that stump that can't even get out of bed, that tree stump in a bed. For some reason, but I am going to fight not to become that and not just let it happen, or worse, cause it to happen. I have decided that I am going to take hold of this and be proud of my future self, or have my future self be proud of my present self for doing all of this work.
Well, and like I said, no matter where you are in your journey, whether it's day one and you feel like you're already down to a stump and you think it's too late, it's not too late.
Oh my goodness. Like, if we can do it, you can do it. I mean, we seriously, we've got over 100 other episodes where we talk about how we were the worst. We were the worst. And now we've turned it around. And I'm telling you, you have the benefit of everything that we learned. You can listen to it and get that from us. We were just sort of trying to figure this out as we went along. And if we can do this, trust me, you can too. I believe in you. I know you can do it, and you can get to where you want to be and go into your middle and late age in a healthy state.
Well, and going back in just sort of the practical sense of it, when you see the giving tree as, like, wow, that spoiled kid didn't do anything. And that tree needs to set some boundaries. So this is the part where your ego comes in and starts asserting some boundaries. It is critical to me to close the kitchen at 8 p.m. That is a boundary. When the kid comes calling for apple pie at 8 p.m., you don't give the kid apple pie at 8 p.m., the figurative apple pie. It is about setting some boundaries. It is about not clear-cutting yourself every day to get, to get what your id wants.
Stop clear cutting, stop fracking, stop strip mining.
But that, it's not about being perfect, but I guarantee you can stop eating at 8 p.m. Not that there's anything magical about that number, but if you're snacking after 8 p.m., you can close your kitchen. You can time your eating like Donald does, where he has snacks throughout the day at certain times. You can track your food. You can sit with the discomfort of your inner toddler not getting that second dessert or that extra appetizer with your takeout meal. My brother, I don't think he listens to this podcast anymore. When we used to go to the grocery store when we were little, he would want like a He-Man toy or like some toy at the checkout, and he would cry and kick and scream until my mom would give in and give him the He-Man toy. And you have to sit with that inner toddler discomfort of being cranky for not getting what you want in the moment. It is okay to be uncomfortable. It is okay to not get everything your body desires, because it's not your body. You just
it's you.
Yeah, and food is delicious, which is a problem for us. It's
a
still
real
really
problem.
good. It's not suddenly like, oh, it doesn't even taste good to me. But being able to sit with that discomfort for the long-term benefit. I don't know if I told you this the other day, but I've been hitting my calorie deficit for a long time, and it feels really good.
Yeah.
And my thing right now is, what do I regret when I wake up? Like, that is the thing that I know I need to work on. And I know this is really stupid and micro, but I went like 20 calories over my target.
Yeah.
And I woke up the next morning. I was like, why did I have that extra 20 calories? And it's not about the calories. It's about the pride that I feel in myself of shutting down my inner toddler. It is not the end of the world. I am not actually concerned about 20 calories. What I'm concerned about is my ability to just say no to myself and to cut myself off, because that inner toddler gets stronger every time you give into its whims. So if you can walk away with this, shutting down your superego, shutting down that perfection, shutting down the all or nothing, your ego is your grown-up part that knows the difference between your toddler and that perfectionism that is simply not possible. So practice self-care, practice making a list of what your actual body needs versus what you're giving it every day. If everything you're giving it comes from a can or a package with an elf on it, maybe step back from the Keebler family as your source of your tree habit is that they live in the tree. It's not the tree that you want. So start dialing it back a little bit and really do some introspection on what is possible for you. How much does that kid rule your life? How is your tree managing? Are you oh, this definitely is not a symbiotic relationship. This is definitely one where I am clear cutting myself every day. You are worth so much more than that. And that inner toddler, that id in you, can definitely dial back. You are capable. And if we are capable, we know you are too.
We know you are too. And whether it was your inner toddler or your ego or your super ego listening to us, we are appreciative of all three of you. Thank you so much for joining us. We're grateful to every single listener. If you would like to get a hold of us, give us any show ideas, tell us how you have defeated your inner toddler, give us some suggestions for future episodes, you can reach us at our email address, weonlylookthin@gmail.com, and we will respond.
Yeah, we are on the social medias on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at We Only Look Thin. You can also join us at our weight loss accountability group, Wolt Place. You can find out more
We Only Look Thin Place.
Yeah, you can find out more about that if you go to our website, weonlylookthin.com, and click on Join Our Support Group. It is a support group for women. It's just a lovely place to be vulnerable and honest and get support from other people going through their...
And maybe occasionally get advice on how to care for trees. Yeah. I don't know. It's for women, so I don't know what they talk about.
If you're a master gardener, let us know.
Exactly.
It's for, I don't know. know. It's like, girls, I don't know. No, Donald is in the group as an admin, and if someone tags him in, say, a post about night pickles,
usually it's about pickles.
Usually it's pickle-based comedy.
Post pickle posts about me.
Yeah, but otherwise he's hands-off.
How many posts can Pickled Pepper post about pickled peppers? I don't know.
Exactly. But we are super proud of the group, and it is just a great place, especially in this time of COVID, to be honest and work on yourself while living in the real non-super ego, regular ego world. So.
And if you would like to stop being the boy in the Giving Tree story and give a little bit back to us, we would really appreciate if you went to Apple Podcasts and give us a rating and a review. And it really pumps up our egos.
I was going to say that. I didn't step on your joke. I didn't step on it. I was sitting here going, I'm not going to step on his joke. He's going to say ego, and I'm going to let it happen.
If you could give us a rating and a quick review would be even nicer. It really helps people find our show when they're looking for fitness and weight loss podcasts, preferably 5 stars, but we'll take the honest feedback if you have. Hopefully 5 stars is your honest feedback, but if you want to give us some other feedback, we'll take that too.
Yeah, so if you still don't know the difference between a giving tree and a juicy fruit tree, just remember that Donald and I are an inspiration.
The information that you hear on this podcast is for informational purposes only. The hosts are not medical professionals. You should always consult with your doctor, nurse, or other certified health professional before beginning any diet or fitness program.